This joint meeting of the Town Center CRA and City Council is now called to order. Please rise for silent invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Will the clerk call the roll?
Here.
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 Mayor Burnett.
Here.
Dave Schmidt.
Here.
And Michael Benedict.
Here.
I just want people to know I'm ready. Never would have known.
What do you think?
Of course, you'd never know the length of the meeting by the fact that there's only one item on the agenda. Item 4, discussion of Riverwalk property purchase offers. Wayne?
Yes, sir. Thank you. It's a very positive moment to be here tonight. Back in the summer, we contracted with Colliers to help us broker this site, and they started marketing it. And they'll go through some of this detail in their presentation. But in the October, we started getting interest from people, and so when we set this meeting up, there were only a couple people that had shown interest, and so our original thought was we were going to go ahead and bring these companies to you to talk about what they wanted, and in a very short period of time, like 10 days, we got 5 more interested parties.
Interesting what deadlines can do.
Yeah, so that went quickly from two groups of people coming to talk to you to let's let the guys from Colliers take you through what they've done to date, a little bit about what they are, and then the next steps that'll get us to a matrix with more detailed information from all the people who are interested as we move forward into early parts of December. The only unfortunate thing for us at this time of year is if it wasn't any month of the year but November or December, we would have been back to you at that workshop meeting at the end of the month to take care of this. So because of Thanksgiving and Christmas, we will likely be coming back to you on the 7th. But what I'd like to do is turn it over to Ken Krasnow from Colliers and let him take you through the presentation, and we'd all be happy to answer questions as they go forward. Ken?
Okay. And I would ask the council and the CRA, come on up, that as we go through the presentation, would you allow them, usually we'll go through this with staff, and if questions arise as we go, we interject. In this case, I would prefer that we hold your questions, take good notes to the end, take in the full presentation and the full weight of it, and then we'll hash everything out all together. Okay?
Easier than the
Very
map.
good.
About the link. There's some links in there.
When you get to it, just
Perfect. Good evening, Mayor, council members, CRA members. Again, my name is Ken Krasnow with Colliers International. Myself and David Kalkanis, who joined me this evening, are pleased to give you a status report of our marketing efforts as Wayne and Tim have been, great shepherds of our process here. So give you a little bit of the marketing update, where we are, where we've kind of come so far. More importantly, to talk really about, next steps in getting this thing to the finish line. So we have a quick presentation, and then hopefully we'll get into a bunch of Q&A. So this, what I'm going to walk you through is, again, a little bit of our marketing efforts to date. As you can see, it's been a multi-pronged process with property brochures, drone videos, a very detailed offering memorandum with all of the project details, demographics, and then obviously a lot of online marketing through our own Colliers website, as well as what you might think of on the residential, the MLS of commercials. So there's a number of sites out there that we utilize. And then obviously we have our own proprietary list of developers and owners throughout the region, throughout the Southeast. So it's a full, which is effectively why you hired us here, which was to bring the story of Port Orange and of this opportunity to the global market. And that's what we've done, and then you'll see some of the results of those efforts. I'm not sure how familiar everybody is with some of the materials that were created, but this is an example of the drone video that was created. Again, a lot of the groups, and you'll see some of the groups that are interested, had never been to Port Orange, don't know where Port Orange is. So a lot of the video and the drones and the aerials and the overall marketing, really helps get them excited. And then obviously a lot of the groups have come in here. So I think there's a better link, right? Tim, where the drone. Just maybe might have.
Here it comes.
Yeah, there you go.
Could you maximize that?
Yeah. No sound. That's, yeah,
There we go.
there you go.
You got sound on here? It's just music anyway, so.
Yeah, Yeah, it's just some, theme music and so on and so forth. But it generally, again, gives you a perspective of how we get the message out to a broad audience of, starting at a macro level and then obviously moving down into to a micro level and talk about the property and some of the, the characteristics. So again, I'm not going to spend too much time here. How do I get out of this thing? Yep, perfect. Okay. As I mentioned before, very detailed, some people are very computer savvy and like to look at their emails, and some people like to, look at the mail that they get. So, there was a hard copy offering memorandum. These are just a few snapshots of some of the pages that were selected from there. So a print brochure was also created. As I mentioned before, Colliers has a very robust, active listing website as well. So it was on there, and it's the similar kind of link. So if anybody went on the Colliers website and was able to click on that link, they saw a little bit of that video that I was just showing you before. This gives you an example of some of the outside websites that we utilize for a lot of listings. Crexy is just one of them. As you can see there, we launched this really in the middle of the summer, end of the summer, if you will. And you can just see there's been a very robust, number of people that have, opened up the site, spent time looking at it. Unique clicks, just a little marketing term, is are people, that have gone back over and over and have spent, an inordinate amount of time, kind of looking at it. So that's a kind of a number that we usually, kind of narrow, zero in on. This gives you the kind of the year-to-date snapshot with Crexy, and as you can see, we hit a lot of email boxes, a lot of inboxes, were flooded with a lot of information about Port Orange and about this opportunity. Another one is CoStar, which is another activity that database that I'm sure you're familiar with. So again, all of this just really says that it was a very wide, very intense marketing campaign in a fairly short period of time. Lo and behold, what that has now brought us to here today, and what we're talking about now are actual offers we have in hand, letters of intent from groups. This is not talking about the myriad of phone calls and emails and requests that David has gotten and fielded with a bunch of the people that have opened up the site, asked questions, and then for whatever reason have not decided to proceed. These are 7 offers that we have received from very strong, qualified groups. I'll give you just a quick little overview of some of these groups. Actually, one, the Maas development folks, once they, I think, realized what kind of competition they were in, have subsequently dropped out of the next round. So we're going to be going forth to the next round. I'll talk to you a little bit about what the next steps look like with these 6 groups. So in no particular order, this is not by dollar amounts and so on and so forth, but just to give you a range of perspective, we're generally in the $6.5 to $8 million range is kind of the range of the bids as we stand here today. Falcone Group is a South Florida based developer. You may have read about the Miami World Center, which is probably one of the largest mixed-use developments taking place in downtown Miami right now. Falcone is the key group behind that. So it's got office, retail, medical, multifamily, transit-oriented development as well. Bristol is one of the largest mixed-use multifamily developers in the Southeast. They're based in Nashville. And have recently, in the last year or so, really made a huge push to kind of capture the Florida market. So, I mean, their website is loaded with projects all over the Southeast of mixed-use, high-end multifamily and retail developments. BLD Group, building, for lack of a better word, is also a South Florida-based group that's been doing this for 30 plus years. Very strong, again, mixed-use multifamily development group. Recently made a strong push. They have a couple of projects up in the Central Florida, in Orlando area, in the Millennia area. So again, a very well-capitalized, strong group. Same goes for Landmark. Harbor is primarily again, a very strong, more emphasis on the retail side than on the multifamily side. The principal of Harbor used to run Fresh Market, and so comes out of the retail world. And Cornerstone is also a South Florida-based mixed-use multifamily developer. They probably have 10,000 units throughout the state of Florida. I mean, so what we're looking at now are very strong, groups with long track records of mixed-use successful projects, multifamily retail primarily, but a lot of their projects, as you'll see, cross all kinds of different, property types. The important thing is, again, I think you've got groups that are, well capitalized, well funded, well resourced, ready to, put your golden shovel into the ground, immediately. So what we're going to talk about is kind of the timeline and the next step. So we've got those 7 bids in hand. As I mentioned, one of them, I think, seized the competition, has subsequently withdrawn. So we've got 6 strong, well-qualified groups. And you'll see here where we are with regards to the next step. So we've just received their best and final letters of intents. That's the the $6.5 to $8 million range that I just talked to you about. Again, depending on direction that we receive tonight, we're scheduled to meet with all of the groups over the next couple of days. We'll pretty much be done by Monday. As I said, there's 6 groups. We are going to have full, detailed presentations from all 6 of the bidders. We will primarily run the process. As you can see there, it's going to be a 20-minute overview so that they can show us, and explain their vision for the property, how they're going to execute, timeline, etc. And then there'll be 25 minutes of questions. We'll dig into, the hows and the whys of what they're doing. Staff, Wayne, Tim, so on and so forth, are invited and are going to be participating, or at least viewing all of the presentations. So they'll be able to watch them live, and we've done this before a number of times. All of the presentations will be recorded, and when we send you the package, you'll have a link so that you'll be able to actually watch all of them as well. And as you can see there, by December 1st, you will have in your possession a very detailed matrix of all of the offers, a background on all of the groups, feedback, commentary, if you will, from the presentations, thoughts, perspective that we will have in your possession by December 1st. Maybe beforehand, depending on how the presentations go, but certainly no later than December 1st. And then what we, in that matrix, will be a recommendation that will come before you formally on December 7th. And again, that recommendation could be, this is the group that has separated themselves, and this is, where we think you should go, or we think there are these 2-3 groups that are maybe a little bit separated themselves from the pack, and you should meet with those groups. And that meeting, if that is the choice of the recommendation, would be December 14th, right? There's a meeting on the 14th. So no later than December 14th, you would be in a position to actually make your selection. And then, as you can see there, between December and our estimation based on these kind of projects and these kind of development agreements, with staff, with legal, the work of a development agreement will generally take through the holidays, better part of January, February, and sometime in March. Come back to you with a pretty detailed and descriptive development agreement with the group that you choose. So that's generally the timeline. Just a little bit of background. These presentations, as you can see here, we're going to get into. They already know what's expected of them. So it's going to go into very detailed perspective about their profile, about their financial capability. We will do, kind of background checks to make sure that they're not having any, legal issues or issues with cities where they're developing. We'll get into very detailed descriptive about their experience in comparable projects. So you'll have a very comprehensive overview of a number of the projects that I mentioned. Equally, if not more importantly, we're going to spend a lot of time making sure that they clearly articulate their vision of this project. I will tell you that we've completely, fully, transparently, with every group that we've been talking to, made sure that some of the I'll call them the musts-have, that the public has access to the river, that the river becomes part of a of a global boardwalk and trails and all kinds of accessibility. So we fully expect that every one of these groups is going to incorporate that into the vision, but there's different ways that they'll be able to accomplish that. But that's kind of it's already kind of baked in to what their expectations are. And we've seen some of their preliminary concepts, and this will be a mixed-use development with public amenities, whether it be restaurants or shops or retail, and obviously some form of residential. But at this presentation, they will get into very specific details, renderings, etc., about their vision, and so on and so forth. And all of that will be, again, summarized as part of our matrix that we'll present to you, certainly no later than December 1st. Again, you'll be able to watch all of these presentations, and the recommendation that we come back to you with, you'll be able to vote either on December 7th, certainly no later than December 14th. And that is the brief. I mean, I don't want to show you. I could show you the video. You know the project. You know how special this land is and what kind of opportunities is. I think the quality of the firms that have shown up and have expressed their interest by putting forth, very specific letters of interest. Some of them have already spent a pretty amount of money, laying out, renderings and so on and so forth. So the quality of the development groups, it's going to be, I think, a difficult decision, but that's a good problem to have. You've got really, strong, qualified, capable groups that are excited about, what this opportunity presents for them and for the residents of Port Orange. So with that, I think that is the basis of our presentation, and we're happy to answer any
That's that
questions.
last slide that says thank you. And
Well.
honestly, I think that it's me thanking you, Ken.
Not me.
Um,
No, it's
you and
it's
Dave
all of us.
and your
It's
team
it's a
have
team
done
effort. It's a team effort.
Absolutely. You might be the face of it at the moment, and I appreciate the hard work you and Dave and your team have put into this. I know that we're all truly excited and deathly afraid at the same time. And that's the nature of these type of things, and I appreciate that. So if you're ready, Wayne, did you want to add anything before we started?
Did we
into
miss
our
anything,
Q&A?
Wayne? Is that
No, sir, I think he covered it very well. We have very solid interest. We have people who very clearly were told the waterfront has to have public component, that this has to be mixed use. Everything I've heard from you since I've been here and when I was here prior, all of that has been conveyed to everybody. I was impressed with what they were able to bring and how they were able to do it. So I'm looking forward to hearing the detail and getting this in front of you.
And I will tell you that, this is one of the few municipalities that we've worked in where we've had the support. I know, Mayor, you've been on a couple of the tours. Wayne, Tim are on almost basically every tour, that we've done. It's really been a total team effort. So, I mean, it's been helpful. It shows the groups how committed the city is to realizing this vision, how kind of united the council is. So we think there's an incredible opportunity ahead of you, but it's going to be it will be a difficult decision because I think you're going to have some pretty interesting choices ahead of you.
Why don't we start into it then?
Sure.
Drew, why don't you start us?
Why are you starting with me?
Why? Because you've been here the longest, that's why. You're the reason it hasn't been done, no.
So, I'm the one, which one dropped out? Because I see a list of 6.
MAS.
MAS.
Yeah.
Okay, because they're,
And dare I say, they were the first and lowest.
okay, all right, and
Set the
and
bar
so,
for everybody
I
else
mean,
to
I
jump
think
over.
they got wind
Yeah.
of the stiff competition here and realized they
Gotcha.
were probably
So,
over their skis.
looking over briefly, the links to the 6.
Yeah.
And based on what you're telling us, mixed use, obviously, so they've all got impressive looking projects and things on their website, so I definitely want to hear more and see more. I know you said you're getting into their background and if they've had problems and everything. Do you also go like deep into like finances?
Mhm.
Would we know about bankruptcies or anything like
Yes.
that, or any financial troubles? that
Yes.
Somebody, okay,
Yeah.
because that'll play a big
I
part
mean,
too.
I will tell you, we'll probably be surprised because we know
Yeah.
these groups
Yeah.
and But yes, that's
You
part
know,
of a
some will,
package.
go bankrupt and
Yeah.
reinvent in a different name or a different,
Yes.
type of thing. So, you guys are well-versed in our vision, and I mean, I know that's been pounded home to all these, so I'm really looking forward to seeing more of, the offers and what they're proposing, and kind of see where we go, based on this council's vision.
Yeah. Again, we think, there's going to be a little bit of a trade-off. We know that, I mean, the range of the dollars is not necessarily going to sway your decision, probably
Yeah.
one way or the other. They're all relatively, within the same range. So I think the vision of the project is going to be important for you to, really kind of dig into.
Yeah, what they can deliver. So, I'm definitely looking forward to see, once you guys break it down and send us that stuff, I'm looking forward to getting into it and checking everything out. It's an exciting time for us, for sure.
Indeed. Jason?
I don't have as many questions as I anticipated I had, that I would have. Your presentation was succinct as it needed to be. I guess my one, just going forward, I'll present my thoughts. Very similar to, I appreciated Drew's comment regarding the financial stability of some of these folks. I think that one of the things that I'm going to be most interested in is, in addition to the quality of the projects that they've done, because I know they're going to come and put on a song and dance like everybody else does, but I'm going to be more interested in the longevity of the quality of the projects that they've done in the past. I'd be very curious, and it's much more difficult to me to acquire that information than it would be for you guys. I'd like to see, be assured that, hey, they haven't. Want to know that they haven't started projects in the past and then didn't finish it.
Right.
And I'd like to see again the longevity of the quality of it, the things that they may not present. If there may not be anything, but I'm always trying to look at that. Whether we're looking at new hires here, I like to dig in the weeds to make sure that something doesn't skip me. So I guess I'd ask that of you.
That's what we're going to bring forth to you. Yes, absolutely.
All right, because I want to
Yeah.
see any possible red flags that,
Yeah.
because like, as Drew said, a long time coming, this would be a very poor time to stumble.
We hear you.
Jonathan?
I'm gonna heap a little praise on you guys. This is
No.
Ken, Dave, your group. Awesome presentation. The way that you guys marketed this out there, I think, was very well done, and it shows all the potential. And clearly, the evidence of that is in these offers and the people who are lining up. It's actually reminds me when we're always talking about people who want to volunteer on our advisory boards. It's an embarrassment of riches. We have just an embarrassment of opportunity here, and I can't wait to see what each one brings to the table when they come to present. I have a question I think that's important to ask now before we get any further into the process, and this is actually more for you and Colliers. With any of the ones that are in this, of that 6, have you had any previous transactions with any experience working with any of the 6 so far? Has Colliers transacted any property at all in the past with any of these 6?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, we've sold, properties to them or transacted.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Could I
So-
ask which ones, out of curiosity, just so I know?
Again, not necessarily Dave or myself, but Colliers in general. So yeah, I don't have that off the top of my head, but I can certainly get that for you.
I would appreciate that.
Yeah.
Just be good to know. Have you guys, specifically you two, worked with any of the 6 before?
Elkhorn, Landmark, and Bristol.
Beautiful. Excellent. And the one thing that I just want to emphasize, you already mentioned it, really going to be important to me. I want to hear the relationship with the municipalities that these groups have already worked with.
Yeah.
I want to know, did they hit their deadlines when they've said that they're going to do A, B, and C? Any kind of information we can get there would be great. And then just those relationships, that detail. I know you said you're going to present it.
Yep.
That's going to be really important to me. So if you guys can just make sure that's really well highlighted.
Yeah, when we say experience, it's not just experience of building, projects and so on and so forth, but it's specific, public-private partnership, experience, like where they've, like you say, where they've worked in certain municipalities and delivered and
Excellent.
had successful track records, et cetera.
Yep, and like I said, I know you said you're going to deliver that. I just want to make sure I emphasize it, that's really important to me. So that's it. Thank you, Mayor.
Scott?
Good to see you.
You too.
Thank you guys for coming in tonight.
No
Appreciate you doing that. So to echo some of the comments already, when we had you guys before us previously, we said, okay, go get to work. Man, you guys did, and that's great. So I think we've got this relationship off to a really good start, and I want to make sure that we do everything we can and that you guys can to really keep this on track and moving with the enthusiasm and the projections that we've been able to generate, staff, council, and you guys as well. So first, just a thank you. But the hard work's still out there, right?
No question. Yeah, but like I said, it is a total team effort. It's not just the people that are working in our marketing thing, putting out the pretty pictures and the work that Dave and the team is doing, but having your support, staff, council, etc., goes a long way in really giving these developers confidence that
Good.
This is a place they want to
Good.
spend their capital and become your partner.
Yeah, and we appreciate that. I've already been on and doing a little bit of research on some of these groups. Some of them, I've been able to find a lot about and look at some of the past projects and active projects, and some it's a little bit more challenging, but I'll continue to do a little bit of that myself, and I very much look forward to our December meetings. A couple of just comments more so, I guess, maybe than questions, but as we continue to move forward and you guys are, for lack of a better word, fine-tuning the best fit for us and us doing that and talking about the vision of this project as we see it, I want to make sure that the geographical connection to other areas around the city of Port Orange are also well understood, because in southeast Volusia County, so to speak, which I, for a project like this, I consider South Daytona, Daytona Beach Shores, Wilbur by the Sea, and other unincorporated areas of the county, Ponce Inlet for sure, Port Orange, as well as, some of the New Smyrna area for sure. That's a huge, massive area. And I know that companies probably have their own unique way of running demographics and traffic counts and things like that. I just want to make sure that we are really showing as best we can how broad that reach can be, because for a project and a vision like this, and I know you guys know this, but there is no other opportunity like this in that entire area. This is it, and we're glad to have it, and we want to get the best project we can out of that. So just to comment on that, to keep that in mind. I'm very much going to be looking for some things in the presentations in December. First and foremost is the quality of the project. What does the community expect to get from this? For all of us up here, I think we have been very consistent that we are looking for a destination feel. That's been the vision all along from day one, even though it's taken a long time to get to where we are today, and there's been some changes and some designs and as you would expect because of the time and circumstances, but the overall vision of creating that destination and a place for this community to go and be entertained and dine and shop and enjoy the waterfront, what all it will have to offer. So that's going to be a really big thing. So I'm really going to be looking for the presentations on how do they make that connections, because I get a lot of these groups aren't from here and a lot of these folks aren't from
Yeah,
here.
but
I've
I will
seen
tell you,
some of the-
we've been driving
Sure.
home that point
I know
from
you
the
have, and I
first,
appreciate it.
from the first, call that they make. If somebody comes here and says they just want to build a residential project, we
Yeah.
dissuaded them and, tell them this is not the project for you. And then when we get them on site, when we've got Wayne and Tim and everybody just kind of they hear, it's good that they hear the same message, but they've heard that message,
Well,
loud
and I
and
guess my
clear.
point to that is it's great to hear that they're hearing it, but in the presentations, I want to be able to see it. I've seen some
Yeah.
of these groups, I've seen some of their projects, and I see some of them, and I go, That's it. That's
But
what we, you know, that's
they,
what we're looking
if
for.
they
Similar.
wouldn't waste their time
Got it.
hearing this message and then kind of coming in a different, direction.
good to hear.
Like they get what they need to do here.
Also, the ability to fund the project, like the other council members have mentioned, not only purchase the project, the property, but fund the project and get things moving, because there are some timelines here, and there's incentives, and I want to make sure that not only we are able to offer all the incentives, but that whoever is making this investment understands all the incentives. I want them to take advantage of them. I mean, that's what they're there for, to incentivize doing something great for the community and to get the project going. You know, I don't want to see incentives dropping off the calendar list, so to speak, because it's a particular investment group. And it doesn't sound like, I don't really see that with these groups. These are all pretty sizable groups, so great job on getting us some good quality.
Timeline will
programs.
be a big component of our kind of evaluation.
Right. Other than that, the only question I wanted to have from your presentation was that I know you're putting, did I understand you're putting out the deadline for best and final?
We already did.
So was yesterday the deadline for that? Okay, so that part is done. Okay,
Yep.
good. Yeah, I don't have anything else other than just to say I do appreciate and I like the direction. I like where we're at today, and I'm sure I'll be happy to see where we're going to be here in December and keep moving forward. I like the timeline. It's a nice, tight timeline, and I get that after December, we've got to have some months in there to let, whoever we choose to kind of fine tune things in. There's got to be
Matt's got to do a lot of work.
Matt's got a lot of work.
Matt's got a lot
His
of work.
staff. Good thing is they've got a talented staff there, so, but good to see you. Appreciate you guys being here tonight.
All right, that's the council for the CRA. Michael?
It's good to go close to the end. Most of it's covered. So, on the 6 that are in the running, you mentioned some that sounded very strong in residential, and some that sounded very strong in commercial, and then obviously a mix in there. Have you guys created an idea in your head? And I know we said mixed use, and we like a lot of everything, but what's that ideal residential commercial footprint for that area? I mean, it is a tight, it's, I think, what, 8, 10 acres? 10. So it is a tight area for the amount of vehicles that are going to be on there. Is there an ideal or a range that you guys are looking at yet, or have talked to with all the interested parties?
I don't know that it's necessarily what we're looking at. I think most of the groups have been in a fairly, I would say, consistent range, right, in terms of the mix of the amount of units and the amount of commercial, retail, kind of restaurant space. So I think you'll see a fairly kind of consistent. They all know the market, like you talked about. They've tested the market. It's not, there's not like there's one group that's wildly saying, we're going to build a 100,000 feet of retail space. I think it's fairly consistent within a range of the bounds of those uses. They're all kind of in that sort of parameter.
We kind of got like the rough drafts of concepts when they came through. We were trying not to restrict creativity with the vision being there. And that's why there's nobody here presenting tonight, because with all that activity right there at the end, we wanted them to be able to hear what we had to say, constantly be told what that vision is, and then that gives them a couple of weeks to take all that feedback, do a little research, and tighten that up. So the presentations that they're going to record and send to you, that's when you're going to start seeing that pattern come out. But right
I
now,
gotta imagine they're listening right now.
right, and they were. A couple of companies talked to us about 2 or 3 different possibilities in one day. So they're back now thinking, okay, which one do we put forward based on that feedback? So we were trying to at least leave them some flexibility, understanding the vision. What are you coming back to us with in the next couple weeks? That'll be what's on those presentations that get recorded and get sent to you. I do think you'll see a pattern. I don't think any of them are that far off. Like Ken was saying, you don't have 90% retail on one and you don't have 90% residential. They're blending together in about that same mixture. So that's what I would expect to see.
Okay, I didn't know if we led them a certain path. A couple of them visited our properties and asked a couple questions, and I didn't want to lead them anyway because I didn't know what the action. I just know we were looking for a great partner to develop the area. So I mean, they asked a lot of questions, and they didn't really tell me where they were headed, so.
We gave
that
them
was,
all your social media too, because we were hoping that they would pay attention to what's going on in the area, because what we wanted them to do was, if 6 of them come back with their A game, that's the best thing for us. So we were trying our best to give them the greatest chance of success, so that all 6 of them come back. It would be great if they all come back and wow you with, I would rather have 6 that it's really hard to pick from, and so that's what we were trying to do.
Yeah. Great. Thanks again for everything, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Mike. And also for the CRA, Stanley?
Again, thanks for your presentation. This was pretty impressive work. I continue to be impressed by you fellows and the company. One of the things that I was kind of thinking about is, I know that there has been discussion about some of the, let's call them neighboring landowners. Will some of these presentations be with and without some of those pieces, or right now they're just focusing on the 10-acre piece?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
to really be fair and compare kind of apples to apples, we're gonna, have them.
Have all of these companies been given the contact information of the neighboring landowners in case they're interested? Do you know if they've had discussions, or is that's confidential at this point in
I
time?
don't think they have.
We-
Yeah.
Not
I think-
to get under contract
Okay.
and have not only
Yeah.
are you interested, but what's the next step? We
Right.
can Offer
Yeah.
something, and just not to make a little correction, but there are some site plans that I've seen, actually most of them.
Dave, I'm sorry, you got to come up to the microphone. It wasn't a simple yes or no, so I figured I might as well invite you up.
What we've seen is, in the site plans, that they're occupying all of those out parcels, the Dunkin' Donuts, the lawnmower shop, and the bike shop. And, we had talked about maybe coming up with some kind of configuration where they could take a retail storefront or something and work out something financially to take those spots. Because it rounds it out, it looks a lot better when you see the site plans, you'll understand all that.
Okay, sounds
And
good.
It's hard to work around that.
And then just kind of a picky little thing, and it maybe not be a big deal, but when these guys are starting to get more involved in this, will there be some consideration given to using local subcontractors? I'm a CPA, so it won't be me.
We actually talked about that. Go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that at your direction, right? I mean, you guys can put your stamp on how you want this process to go forward. And so, yeah, we would probably expect that. We haven't necessarily brought, forth that, but yeah.
Well, I know you guys had mentioned earlier that you have worked with some of these groups, and sometimes you'll have construction's kind of funny. They all have their team, and they like their team to work together because everybody knows that we've got long experience. We know this. We don't have to worry about telling the new guy this is how we do
But
things.
most of these groups are experienced in public, private partnerships, and they understand the value of local, whether it's community support and their community involvement and local business.
Matt,
So-
isn't there a state statute now that you can't provide preferences?
So local preference is something we would address in our own purchasing, but I mean, once we sell the property and we have the development agreement in place, it's really on the developer. Now, to the extent that it makes sense for them to source locally, great, but I don't think that's going to be something that we would impose contractually.
That's okay. All right. That's it.
Stan, if you know any local contractors that are available for work, I got a couple projects.
Well, yeah, that's the other part. But I mean, some of these guys aren't tiny.
Yeah.
They're pretty good size, and I imagine if they saw a chunk of work, they'd figure out a way to make it work.
You good?
Yes.
Okay. It's just, I've got to imagine, once word gets out, and then, of course, a development agreement, and we start working, get that underway, that this is going to affect the rest of the real estate market in and outside the CRA throughout the River District. And that's the whole idea, is that everybody in the River District can win from this, not just this development. But I wanted to highlight some of the things that are going to happen once we have this executed. We have $4.1 million in debt in that CRA. We can make that go away. We can have some cash in the bank to do some projects to reinvest, maybe in Port Orange Down Under, whatever that might look like, to accentuate and invest in our business community further. We have money that we're spending out of the general fund every year for debt service. All of a sudden, that money, which is on the backs of the tax rolls, taxpayers directly, because it comes from the general fund, that's what property taxes go to, that's impacted. And then of course, getting the properties back on the tax rolls for the first time, in some cases, a couple of decades. Those properties have done nothing except sit there, and we've seen no revenue from it, and we've had debt. So, from a financial standpoint, without putting a shovel in the ground, and believe me, I'll be excited to put a shovel in the ground. I've got it right here, it's ready to go. Before we even put a shovel in the ground, once we complete this deal, Port Orange is a big, big winner. So that's why I'm so excited to have this conversation tonight. And I wanted to make sure that everybody understood that. I understand once there are timelines, and some things go faster and some things go slower. Private businesses work at whatever rate they may or may not work. The only thing that we really have to go by is their track record. And we'll be talking about those things, and that's fine. But I really wanted to get that out there. I can also imagine that the real estate in the area being affected. Wouldn't it be wonderful to see somebody want to build a Italian restaurant on the west side of Ridgewood across the street from Riverwalk? The things that are going to come that are complementary to each other that make the area a destination. And it's good for everybody down there. I'm looking forward to all of those things. And this is the start of something that we've been talking about for a couple of decades. So I wanted to put that out there. And Wayne, I'm probably a little early in the game to thank you, but I'm going to say it anyway. I'm going to give you credit, of course. If it falls apart, this will also be the blame. This approach was your idea, that we go out like this with a commercial real estate firm of size and breadth to find out what the market will offer us. Instead of coming up with our own idea and seeing if it'll fly, and if it doesn't, we're back on the drawing board. This way, we are responsive to the marketplace and what it has to offer for Port Orange. So, Wayne, I've got to give you, at least for now, the credit for that approach. And I wanted to thank you for that. And actually, I had a question for Matt Jones, the city attorney, seeing as you'll have your department will have a large responsibility for working on that master development agreement and the like. You know, we're talking about having it ready, well, they said by the end of March. I'm telling you February. Do you have the expertise and the things and the tools that you need in your department, or is there anything that you'll need from us to help make that happen?
No, I think we've got some good direction. We know, we know that the path continuance is a big thing. We know the timeline is a big thing. We'll tie that to incentives. We'll make sure to build that into a development agreement. So I think we have some pretty good direction from council, and we're ready to get moving as soon as you guys let us know you want us to get moving with.
Okay. And I've got to thank my 6 counterparts for knocking out all my questions, so that it makes it easy for you, Ken, and makes it easy for you, Dave. And I wanted to go back around the horn to make sure that we've got everything. Chase, you got anything else?
I did, but it sort of got answered already. Good.
Okay. Jonathan?
All set.
Stan?
The only other thing, and of course this has been the buzz, is transportation. We've got major arterial roads there. We've already seen the restaurant do some cuts in the median.
Mm-hmm.
Do our transportation people look at this too? And it's early for that probably, but as we go further down the road, or even looking at acquiring some parking, I don't know.
We'll see what the private investors want to do.
That's it.
Drew?
Nothing further tonight.
Scott?
Just want to say thanks, Mayor, for you bringing back a lot of information there that's really important as far as the benefits of the project itself to pay off those debts, and it's been a long time coming.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes time passed in between of a lot of meetings and things like that, and you forget that there's debt out there that has to be settled, and our taxpayers deserve to get that settled. And there's a lot of benefit to getting
That's
that
$250,000
done.
debt service
Yep.
every year that goes away.
I appreciate you mentioning that. That's all I got.
Michael?
Good.
Wayne, just recapping the timeline that we're talking about. There's a lot of things that are going to happen before we see it in December 7th. I'm sure that you're probably going to have to spend a lot of time with each and every one of us one-on-one. If you need anything beforehand, let me know as far as a special meeting or anything, but otherwise, I think you've got an idea of the tasks that you have ahead of you. Is there anything else that we need to know that we haven't covered, or time-wise that we need to know about?
We will be putting the video links, the matrix, and the background information from all 6 of these firms in your package for the 7th. We may I'll make sure that Matt and Robin are good, that we do everything correct and fair and in the sunshine for the public. But if we can get pieces of it to you earlier, maybe you would prefer to get the video links. I need to make sure that strategically that's what they want us to do, so that you don't form an opinion off of partial information. But I'm also sensitive to not giving you
There's a lot of
500 pages of
there.
information
That's
at one time. So we will work on that, and I will let you know if there's a way to do it without it creating an issue. But we will be sensitive. It will probably be a pretty sizable amount of information, but they will also have a matrix that will analyze the strengths and weaknesses of the firm, so you would have the ability to have that advice going forward.
So I think the expectation of us is that on the 7th, we will be able to say, yes, this is the company we want to meet on the 14th, or these are the companies we want to meet on the 14th, and we'll shortlist it then.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Ken, Dave, thank you both very much. Appreciate you. Council, CRA, is there anything else come before us this evening?
Just want to say happy birthday to Councilman Chase Tremont.
Thank you.
Happy
Honored to
birthday.
spend it with you guys.
Well,
have a good night,
just
everybody.
Thank you very much.